A simple conclusion from my 230-plus stroke research papers Part 1, number 1565, the 8th of March 2026. Gerald C. EclaireMD Foundation. Category: Stroke Summary. Preface: the driving force behind my medical research has been the many serious health threats I personally faced over the past 4 decades. My health problems began around 1985, when I was 38 years old. At that time, I was deeply involved in building and managing several high-tech companies in Silicon Valley. The combination of an unhealthy diet, lack of regular exercise, and continuous stress gradually caused my body weight to increase. What began as simple overweight BMI 25 to 30 slowly progressed into obesity BMI above 30. This long period of obesity eventually led to the development of type 2 diabetes around 1990, when I was 43 years old. My diabetes risk was further increased by a family history of diabetes on my mother's side. Over the following years, my health condition continued to deteriorate. Between 1990 for age 47 and 2000 for age 57, I experienced 5 serious heart-related episodes that required emergency treatment at 5 different hospitals. These repeated incidents were early warning signals that my metabolic condition was becoming dangerous. I therefore decided to sell my semiconductor company, which was listed on NASDAQ, in 2000 to age 55 and moved away from Silicon Valley. By 2010, when I reached age 63, my medical condition had worsened significantly. My doctors informed me that I was developing kidney problems, severe peripheral neuropathy that almost led to toe amputation, and diabetic retinopathy that nearly caused blindness. At that point, the possibility of kidney dialysis was already being discussed. During the first 20 years of my diabetes, from 1990 through 2009, my condition had been managed exclusively with medications, and fortunately, the results were poor. And my metabolic disorders continued to progress. In 2010, when I realized that kidney dialysis might soon become unavoidable, I made a major life decision. I left my business career and charitable programs completely and began a serious full-time self-study of internal medicine in order to understand the root causes of my chronic diseases. During the following 16 years, from 2010 through 2025, I focused on intensive lifestyle management and medical research, working about 13 to 14 hours a day, 365 days a year. Throughout this period, I did not take chemical compounds, including medications or even vitamins. During these 16 years, my medical research mainly focused on metabolic disorders and the mortality diseases they induce, particularly those related to the heart and kidneys. Occasionally, I extended my research into dementia and cancer, which are also mortality diseases influenced by metabolic conditions. However, during this entire period, I had never paid attention to brain diseases such as stroke. Then, unexpectedly, on June 21, 2025, I suffered a hemorrhagic stroke in Silicon Valley. Introduction: the hemorrhagic stroke near the Pontine area marked the beginning of a new phase of my medical research, during which I began studying the pathology of stroke, brain physiology, and vascular mechanics in order to understand the true cause of my own critical case. After my life-threatening stroke on June 21, 2025, I spent the following 8 months studying my own medical case intensively. During the past 3 days, I wrote 258 research papers. About 90% of them, around 230 papers, related to stroke, vascular health, blood pressure control, and neurological recovery. My purpose was simple. I wanted to understand why the stroke happened and what I must do to prevent the next one. At the beginning, the problem looked complicated. Stroke involves many medical concepts including vascular pathology, aging, blood pressure regulation, and metabolic diseases, particularly diabetes. However, after months of analysis using my viscoplastic medicine theory (VMT), topology, stochastic probability, and large-scale personal health data collected over 17 years for plus millions data points, the core explanation of my stroke turned out to be surprisingly simple. This paper summarizes the key conclusions from those more than 230 stroke research papers. The root cause: 49 years of obesity leading to type 2 diabetes. My health problem began more than 4 decades ago, around 1978. When I was 31 years old, I began gaining body weight. Over the following years, my weight gradually increased until my BMI exceeded 31, placing me in the obesity category. The main reason was that I followed typical American dietary habits and consumed large amounts of processed food. Obesity eventually led to the development of type 2 diabetes around 1990. From that point forward, my vascular system was exposed to long-term metabolic stress. Chronic high glucose levels gradually damaged the endothelial lining of my blood vessels and promoted vascular calcification. In simple terms, my arteries slowly became stiffer, calcified, and more fragile, like a water pipe gradually weakened by acid corrosion. Therefore, the primary root cause of my stroke was not aging. The main cause was long-term metabolic damage driven specifically by obesity and type 2 diabetes. The long period of energy accumulation, from approximately 1990 to 2009, I relied mainly on diabetes medications. During those years, I did not yet fully understand the importance of lifestyle control such as diet, exercise, sleep, stress, hydration, and daily lifestyle routine. As a result, metabolic stress on my vascular system continued. Using my viscoplastic energy VMT model, I estimated that about 91% of total stroke-related damage energy accumulated during the first 2 decades of diabetes 1990 to 2009 when my condition depended mainly on medications. This period represented the primary stage of structural weakening in my cerebral blood vessels. The lifestyle correction period, around 2010, I began making major lifestyle changes. I reduced my body weight, improved my diet quality, and significantly reduced my food portions. Increased daily physical activity such as walking about 14,000 steps per day, and closely monitored my body weight and glucose levels. Over the following 16 years 2010 to 2025, my metabolic condition improved dramatically. During this lifestyle-focused period, the additional energy contributing to stroke risk was relatively small. About 9%, roughly 1/10 of the 91% accumulated during my medication-dominated era 1990 to 2009. This finding confirms that lifestyle management significantly slowed the progression of my vascular damage and proved far more effective than diabetes medications alone. And fortunately, the damage accumulated during the medication era caused structural changes in my cerebral microvessels, including calcification, which are largely irreversible. The role of aging. Aging always contributes to vascular risk. As we grow older, arteries naturally lose elasticity and become stiffer, similar to the water or gas pipes commonly found in household systems. However, aging does not increase risk at a constant rate. Its effect is nonlinear and interacts with other metabolic conditions. In my case, aging played a secondary role. The dominant factor was still the long history of diabetes caused by obesity. Therefore, aging contributed to the background risk, but it was not the primary driver of the stroke. The final trigger, acute hypertension. Even though structural damage had accumulated over many years, the stroke itself occurred during a sudden triggering event, around noon on June 21, 2025. My systolic blood pressure suddenly rose to about 175 mmHg, likely triggered by emotional stress related to a real estate investment project. This acute hypertension episode produced a strong mechanical load on my already weakened cerebral vessels. The vessel wall could no longer withstand the pressure, leading to a rupture in the pontine region of the brain. This type and location of hemorrhagic stroke carries a very high mortality rate, often reported in medical literature to range roughly from 40% to 70%, depending on the size of the bleed, the speed of treatment, and the patient's overall condition. In simple biophysical terms, long-term metabolic damage plus vascular stiffness and aging plus a sudden blood pressure spike equals hemorrhagic stroke. This is part 1.